The guilt, actually. How dare I enjoy life before I've hit these goals that I set for myself? Childhood me wanted to do all these things, and until I actually do those things, it would be wrong of me to let myself enjoy it, to let myself rest, because I've not achieved it yet. To what extent is you doing those things robbing younger you? I want to argue that the fun things that you do will also shape you to become someone that you admire. How dare I enjoy life before I've hit these goals that I set for myself? Childhood me wanted to do all these things, and until I actually do those things, it would be wrong of me to let myself enjoy it, to let myself rest, because I've not achieved it yet. And I think this is especially true if the thing that you want to do can potentially take away from the trajectory that you're going on. So practically, should I spend $1,000 on this holiday if that's going to take away from my financial goal? Or should I leave the job that I hate for, one that I would enjoy more that pays slightly less if it means that I buy a house 5 years later? Should I really take a mental health break if it's going to slow down my promotion? And I think these questions are fundamentally a wrestle between current you and the things that you want to do right now, and younger you's desires, the things that they wanted the future you, which is you today, to do. Younger you maybe had all these goals of how you would lead a better life and how, you would just fix things. So the question is, when you have the thing that you want to do, whether that's traveling the world, whether that's leaving your job, whether that's doing this new crazy thing, to what extent is you doing those things robbing younger you? So yeah, in my assessment, I think that's where the tug of war is, and I'm not fully convinced that there is a right or wrong answer. But look, the point of this video is to challenge the people who think like me, to challenge people who really, really want to honor that younger child and they deny themselves of things that they want to do today for the sake of the younger child feeling vindicated, feeling satisfied. Just sort of see if you can find yourself a little more in the middle, because I don't think there's a right answer, but it's always helpful to hear from both sides. So here are a few things to challenge your point of view if you are somebody who is incapable of living for today. The knowledge of younger you might be outdated. So look, we need to give credit to 10-year-old you who set up this whole life for your future self, who said, look, we're going to do this, we're going to work in this job, we're going to marry this person, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and they had dreams for you. We got to give them credit because they were doing a lot for a 10-year-old. However, their assessment of the world, the information, the inputs that they had when they made these conclusions might very well be outdated. So maybe you really wanted to be a millionaire by 25 because you were frustrated at the financial situation of your family when you were a child. But you should ask yourself, you should ask 23-year-old you, do you still care? Are you still angry? Is that goal still doesn't matter to you as much? So yes, the younger you wanted to own a house by 30 because they really wanted that stability. But look, now you're 28, you've worked in a job that you've hated, is affecting your mental health, and you feel like you've wasted your 20s. What do you do now? Do you continue to serve that younger you who had this assessment of the world and who didn't know that you would hate this job and you'd be depressed? Or do you reevaluate? Do you say, hey, how do I serve current me? How do I take the new information I have and make goals that make a little more sense? The fun things you do will shape you. So all the demands that younger you placed on yourself, they made sense and they were well-intentioned. They helped to make future you live a good life and to become someone that you would admire. I want to argue that the fun things that you do will also shape you to become someone that you admire. Like, let's face it, if you're someone who's all about hitting milestones, you're probably someone who has the traits that the world really admires, that people really look up to, whether that is being driven, whether that is being focused, being organized, etc. But what about traits like empathy? What about traits about understanding the world and understanding other people? Quite frankly, if you keep on the trajectory that younger you set, you will likely continue to develop the traits that you already have. You're already driven, you're already hardworking. But by deviating from your norm and going down the more fun-loving, experimental, spontaneous route, I think you'll also develop traits that you admire. Now, this isn't to say that delayed gratification isn't helpful and that we shouldn't make wise decisions, but it is to say that perhaps our use of the word wise might be problematic. Why is it not wise to live out my desires today? And I think this is where the conversation gets most deep and philosophical and above my pay grade, quite frankly. But I think If you assume that your desires that you have today, that current you wants to do, are in line with your general life values and with your philosophy, then why should you postpone them? And then once you've reflected on that question, if you're ready to tackle an even bigger question, ask yourself, is my life philosophy, are my values, are they conducive to making wise decisions? Like, if I have the input of my values and I make decisions within that framework, do those decisions tend to be wise in the first place? Tomorrow is not promised. So quite frankly, the you today has things they want to do. They want to go travel the world. You can postpone it all you want, making, I promise I'll do it once I have the house. I promise I'll do it once I get on Forbes 30 under 30. But quite frankly, you may never arrive at that point in time that you are postponing your desires into. So yeah, guys, this was a bit of a stream of consciousness sort of video, but I think it's a topic that I'll be thinking about for the rest of the year. I don't know the answers yet. I'm just sort of thinking of a productive framework. The middle ground sort of conclusion is that we should do an appraisal and assessment of the desires of younger you and whether they're still aligned with current you and whether they make sense. But yeah, when you are assessing both sides, I think you should give them the appropriate weighting. I don't think it's 50-50, but I think you decide what that weighting is. And in doing so, I think you should factor in the development of current you, the happiness of future you, and the satisfaction of past you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.